Hello, everybody. It is a fabulous day for a final. We are here with NECC Division 1 of Overwatch to the top of the mountain. It is Fisher. It is Northwood. I am Jobin, joined today by Ray. And what an honor, what a treat. Two of the most competitive programs in all of collegiate, Overwatch 2 aside, now come together to clash in a best of 7, first of 4, if you will, to see who will walk away as the Winter NECC Division 1 champion.
Yeah, fall semester to determine who gets that automatic bid to the final tournament at the end of the spring semester next year. Can't believe it's already about to be next year. Anyway, finals are happening, school's coming to an end for this semester. Everyone's having their holiday cheer, but it's time to figure out who's going to take home this championship as we have the number 3 ranked Northwood going up against the number 4 ranked Fisher. This is going to be high octane, high action packed, high skilled Overwatch as we see the rosters of the teams below. I'm sure you guys are going to recognize all of these names. They are staples in the Overwatch community when it comes to OWCS, when it comes to collegiate, just best NA players.
Yeah, when we talk about best on best, this is exactly the kind of matchup we're talking about. Every single player on there, definitely recognizable. They've been there, they've done that, whether it's with their respective schools they're on now or other programs they transferred from where they still had success. Like you mentioned, a lot of tier 2, a lot of professional experience, and even Fisher and Northwood programs in general, they go back years and years since both of them have been around in the esports scene, battling it out in every single other title on land dozens of times, it feels like at this point. So there is so much history between these teams. It does feel like Northwood gets the better of them more times than not. And the last time these two teams faced off, Northwood, they definitely put a stamp on what they think is a one-sided rivalry.
Yeah, it definitely was 3-0 in the upper side of this bracket, but they meet again in the winners finals. I will say for the Northwood side, a lot of those players were at OWCS, and NA did not have the best showing. So I'm sure a lot of these players are ready to get back into the server and show what NA can do. As you can see, first map going to be Ilios, a much more dive-oriented map as Northwood's going to ban Zarya, which makes sense. We saw Fisher even in OWC for that collegiate bracket. They loved to play their Zarya, and them in response, they're banning Freya, which Chronic has been an absolute monster on that Friday, and it's so good on a map like Ilios.
Yeah, the matchup that I was just talking about as well, Fisher and Northwood, they actually did play Ilios map 1, and Northwood walked away with a 2-0 win. I guess I should add as well. Northwood, basically, in that last series, they didn't lose anything. They won everything blank to 0, whatever the game mode was, whatever the score was. They basically shut Fisher out the entire way through. So it was certainly a one-sided matchup. But the beautiful thing about these double elim brackets, we get to see the run back. We get to face off again for all of the marbles. And Fisher and Northwood here on Ilios, the grand final is underway.
Yes, these diva compositions really match up against each other. Hydron going over to Symmetra. We saw just how much the Symmetra compositions absolutely dominated for Twisted Minds at OWCS, and it was with these diva compositions. So let's see how Fisher has adapted.
Yeah, it's all about who can draw first blood in the fight, and it actually is going to be Fisher, a little tank on tank violence. Painkiller going to be the first ship to fall in the first team fight. Fisher, they're going to swarm to the point. It should be an early capture for them. So, and with these teams especially, one small mistake, you can almost assuredly know that that is going to be punished by the other side.
Yeah, things are going to be really tough for the side of Northwood. If you're going to be running this Sombra Tracer, you got to be getting pretty good reliable hacks and have everyone ready to coalesce on a single target. But, however, despite having a Symmetra, Fisher allows the point to flip.
Yeah, we do see Chronic rocking the Sombra as well, too, so just trying to shut down some of those solo targets, be an annoying little pest in the backline, maybe take out one of the supports just like that. A little bit of chip damage onto 2 of the backline, able to translocate back to safety in the meantime. Hydron able to take down left. CJ will trade him back, and Fisher, they were able to regain the point. Iron scoops up another kill onto the opposing Diva, and Fisher with a nice job clearing things out for the moment. Rocket trying to get some chip damage in there, but no way to contest the point.
Great opening damage. We do see Painkiller going over to the Winston now, and I do think this is going to be a rough matchup going into the, especially once you get the major perk online with those better micro missiles. It just eats away at the Winston and makes their job that much harder. So we saw so much Diva recently.
Yeah, and that early shutdown from the Sojourn onto the Sombra, that feels like $1,000,000. That was a great shot from Talisman, and then the rest of the team supporting it quite well. Fisher able to stave off the sort of half push from Northwood. They attempted to try to get onto the point. They do get shut down. They're going to be forced to take a full reset, and they're going to have to push back into, I mean, it's basically going to be a 10 ulti fight by the time the dust settles. Painkiller, the only one a little bit far away, but will be ready to go sooner than later.
Yes, Fisher is already coming into this matchup looking incredibly strong. I think most people would favor Northwood initially coming into here, but so far so good. And the Pulse Bomb's going to miss.
Yeah, and we're going to see Dueling Kitsune's, the beats getting sent in. Hydrant's going to try to split the map as best as they can. Nobody dead in the fight quite yet, and it's the Fisher beat that's going to end up being the swinging move. And they're going to find 3 on the backside of it. Northwood only left to the DPS and the support. CJ and Chronic had to get out of there. And Northwood dumping everything they had into the fight. They actually will have the beat drop in the EMP. So still some playmaking potential, but the clock and the situation not favoring them.
And they should be able to get a touch just in time, and they are. They gotta find a way to use this EMP, but they keep getting spy checked.
Yeah, Talisman's gonna pop the overclock. Lep's beat drop is getting shredded by all this Sojourn damage from the high ground, and now they just basically have to evacuate. They do actually flip the point back in their favor, so Fisher just ultimately deciding to give them some of that space. That's gonna be a 5-man EMP onto all of Fisher. That is exactly what Chronic was looking for on the Sombra, and Northwood able to piece together a nice fight on the backside of it.
I really like seeing the adaptations Northwood has made, especially Rocket going over to the Venture. That's one of the heroes that can be quite a nuisance to the Symmetra is the Venture. Being able to do the dig, you know, you just do so much damage and displace the Symmetra a lot. So I think it's a good adaptation, but they're just so behind the 8 ball right now. They gotta have to win these next 2 fights in a row with not as many ults as they'd be hoping for. Let's see what Painkiller can get done with this Primal Rage.
Yeah, I was just about to say that Primal is going to be the absolute key to any of their success, and Painkiller is immediately going to find the pick onto Graves. Doesn't even need to burn the Primal. Plenty of healing from the backline, and now we're going to see a contest on the point. Hydrant and the D.Va going to try to zone him off as best as they can, but now Painkiller popping Primal and Fisher getting deleted from the site. It looks like Northwood able to wrap up that fight just with the Primal Rage alone. And now Fisher, they're going to have a few big tools to come back, but maybe one more big push for them, and that's going to be it.
It's all going to come down to one final fight for both of these teams. So we're looking at Dueling Kitsune rushes, and then we have an Iron who's going to be able to remech. But I think what the killer is going to be in this next fight, Jobin, what can Rocket do with his Tectonic Shock?
Yeah, the adventure we've been seeing, the longer that the character has been out, players have been getting so much more comfortable and so much more creative with some of these engages and some of these setups with the Tectonic Shock, and it looks like we might be in the middle of one right now. That is a lot of chip damage. They're going to take the TP back onto the site. That's a great play out of Fisher, try to avoid the Wombo combo, but the Venture's still alive, taking a ton of damage. Rocket able to survive. Fisher's Kitsune rush. Iron's going to have to pop the D.Va bomb, not able to find anything, and it's going to be Talisman to go down first, and a late beat drop from Northwood should surely seal the deal.
It should, but overtime is still ensuing, and they got to get some of these players down. And we see the point has not coming in. There's still 7% Northwood's going to have to gain. This is going to buy time for Fisher to get their players back, and Rocket's down.
Yeah, Northwood at least flips the point back in their favor, so Fisher, you're going to have to be on the 8-ball here and make sure you stay locked in. We do see Chronic. EMP just burned up, so no ultimate to try to contest these 2 Fisher players. At least enough annoyance with the Sombra to stall them out as long as possible, and actually able to find the shutdown onto Kiwi, and then Talisman just gets comboed. Chronic lighting everybody up, and the rest of Northwood there to follow.
Oh man, Chronic came through in the clutches. They're still trying to do cleanup duty, but this should all be but Northwood's point. Overtime ensues. But the thing in this was Chronic on that Sombra was able to be a nuisance. Found Grapes early in that recontest. Not only that, but just kept getting the Curie for the side of Fisher. They just kept hacking them, kept going after them, not allowing them to make anything happen. Kiwi and Grapes. And then as Talisman's coming back on the Pharah, they hacked him and got him low as well. So Chronic played extremely well there on the Sombra at the end.
Anyone that's been around collegiate esports the last 3 to 4 years, you should expect an absolute fist fight between these two schools. This is exactly the kind of series they always seem to deliver in the biggest moments, and can't be much closer than that. 100-99 with what felt like a 2-minute overtime contest out of both teams winning a fight, the point flipping 4 to 5 times back and forth, but Northwood showing that championship medal. They locked in round 1, and now Fisher's going to have to find the answer. Otherwise, Northwood, when they get rolling early into series, that snowball can become quite hard to stop.
That it is. Here we go. No changes coming up for either team except Rockets going back over to the Tracer for the beginning of this, which we'll see how that goes. But
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see them eventually go back to the Venture, but they get Grapes.
Yeah, I don't even know if he meant to necessarily try to kill Grapes. Grapes just showed up in his crosshair, so that was a freebie for the Northwood DPS, and now Fisher losing 2 players early. That's going to mean it is time to fall back, reset, regroup. Northwood's going to be first to the point, gets the early capture, and they're in pole position to get a nice lead to get us going.
As Chronic got found out having to use the Suzu pretty early, a good thing is there's no really fight ensuing just yet. So we see Hydra putting maximum amount of pressure on a Painkiller, gets the DMAC, and that is the exact opposite of what you're hoping for Northwood.
Yeah, that was worst case scenario, definitely so. Fisher basically getting 2 quick picks. They were very, very keen to it. They jump on the moment, they seize it. That means they're able to get a free capture in Northwood. They are going to, I think, having some fun in the back line there, doing some Lucio things, so we will see what player it actually is. Either way, though, Fisher, they're happy to take the point over. Northwood just about to knock on the door yet again, though.
Painkiller immediately going over to the Winston. No surprise here, does a lot to help with the turrets against the Symmetra. Here we go.
Yeah, it looks like Iron going to try to find a way in there, deal out some of that damage. That railgun shot chunking down one of the players, maybe Chronic or CJ there. Either way, Fisher able to hold on to the point. Northwood throwing a few bodies at it, at least to threaten the contest. Grapes going to try to stay alive backside of the fight as long as they can. There's the first ulti of the fight. It's a Fisher Kitsune from Kiwi, and they're going to try to zone off Northwood as good as they can, but Northwood, they do actually end up backcapping the point through all the sort of back and forth of the eternal dance there, and now CJ gets to invest the Kitsune, and Northwood looking to see if they can slightly edge this fight out at the end. Hydran's going to split the site, and we've got a lot more ultis to go.
Yeah, with that photon barrier splitting the point, it's just exactly what Fisher needed in that moment. Chronic still trying to find that EMP to get it online as the point has just been going back and forth. Big ultimate coming online for Talisman to try and make something happen and keep this contest going.
Yeah, and if Chronic can even do 80% of what they did on round 1, this is going to be a nightmare to deal with in the backline. That is a well-timed beat drop to keep the Fisher support alive, but the EMP is going to connect onto all 5 again. Chronic finds his mark, and Fisher able to keep every player alive, though, so we're going to see if there's any follow-up damage, and it's only going to be from the overclock of Talisman. That's a quick 2-piece for the Fisher DPS, and now the Diva Bomb's going to rip Chronic up, but it looks like Northwood, they've got a chance to win the extended fight, but Painkiller has to pop the Primal Rage to stay alive, but that means Northwood gets to keep the point.
Yeah, surprisingly throughout that entire fight where Fisher has the advantage, Northwood had flipped the point and never let it come back, and all the players coming back. The Primals popped, they found Talisman.
Yeah, this extended fight certainly looking to favor Northwood. That late pop of the Primal was fantastic from Painkiller, but then they overextend a little bit, can't reconnect with the supports, you get taken down, and now Fisher can just look to put the foot forward, and they should be able to gain some space on the pointer, but the Venture and Rocket, an absolute thorn in the side. Luckily, Iron shutting him down, but just like you said, Northwood, they are on the dawn of winning this map.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of player advantage you're going to have, it's likely you're going to be able to flip this point right here, especially with the Kitsune Rush investment.
Yeah, we do see Rocket. That tectonic shock could certainly be a game changer. The Kitsune Rush, that was enough for Northwood to signal the back button. They are ready for Lep, CJ, Rocket, and Chronic to set up an absolute combo on Fisher's heads. Fisher only coming in with the Diva Bomb and that Photon Barrier so far, so they've got to navigate this early fight very tightly.
Here we go. Final fight for both of these teams. Let's see how this tectonic shock's gonna go for Rocket.
Oh, it's a free pick onto the DPS. Talisman is just out of there, and now the tectonic shock can deal out the rest of the damage. Hydra doesn't have a chance, and it looks like Grapes is in for a bit of a rude awakening as well. Rocket, now detached from the rest of the team, doesn't even matter. Northwood, same story, different series. Map 1 is a 2-0 on Ilios, despite the absolute counter punch that Fisher tried to throw.
What a great first map from both of these teams. I mean, first map goes 99-99, second map just as close. It's just really coming down to these small micro things, micro adjustments, micro plays coming out from Northwood time and time again. On map number 1, it was Chronic. Yeah, Chronic just going absolutely insane in that final fight on the Sombra. And to me, in that fight on the second one, it just kept so many players, it kept the point just kept flipping so fast, but it was just Northwood's ability when they had the point to take full advantage and get as much percentage as they could with the primal, with all these different ults, despite being in losing situations.
And even going back to round 1, when Fisher found the first pick 2 to 3 times, Northwood, it never really got a full team push till Fisher's at 65-70%. But once Northwood gets their foothold on that point and they get the setup they want and they can target who they want, it is just an unstoppable force. You have to play perfect plus plus just to get out of the spawn sometimes, and let alone to try to get a capture on them. And just once they get that grip on you, it is basically impossible for many teams to get out of. And even though Fisher came that close, the result still the same. They are still down 1-0.
I will say though, Iron's a very flexible tank, but they have shown throughout this last meta and these last few tournaments that Zarya has been a very beneficial tank for that Fisher roster. And that was ban map number 1. There was a reason why Northwood immediately went to that. So I mean, yeah, you get your 1-0 start, but from here on out, especially since we're going first to 4, Northwood has Fisher has a lot of adjustments they can make, and they will be able to have their pick of the litter when it comes to the tanks going forward, and give Iron the best position to put him in on the best tank to be able to carry for the team.
Yeah, and that's where I loved kind of the best of 7 first to 4 strategy can come in. It just has to extend how much thought process the teams have to use. And even like you said, Northwood, they're a team that I could even see them saying, listen, we're gonna ban all their best stuff as early as possible. If we can go up 2 or 3-0, we are confident that we are not going to lose that series. It's not a series that they typically lose. They've shown they can beat Fisher maybe 8.5, 8 out of 10 times in the past, depending on the title. So it's certainly not a team they're scared of. Obviously, the respect bands paid off huge at map 1, but again, they're just such a confident team that they're going to feel good no matter what's in front of them. And Kings Row, obviously, everybody's confident with this map. It's just all going to come down to execution with these two squads.
Yeah, it's just been a map that we've all known and loved since release of Overwatch. So excuse me, it's no surprises here as we do see bans coming in from both sides. The Kiriko coming out from the side of Northwood, which is interesting because I think both Kiris were equally doing fine. Kiwi and CJ both having their moments and their times. And the Ramatra coming in from Fisher. Uh, to me, when it comes to Painkiller, is not necessarily set in I must play Ramatra. It is one of their better tanks that they have, but I could see Painkiller just as easily being like, okay, let's just run the Orisa, let's run
Mhm.
Malga, whatever. We will see how this goes. My question is, what do these teams look to do with no Kiri on the board? Do we go to more of I had a feeling maybe we go Lucio Bap at this point?
Yeah, I was going to say there's very few games that at least I've seen in Collegiate where either team is willing to ban the Kiriko just because they both want to play it so bad, and they're kind of willing to just gentleman's agreement, firm handshake, we're both going to play it, it's all good. But the Lucio Bap, certainly a staple combo over here on Kings Row. I do love to see Mies that early peak with the Widowmaker. I don't know if Fisher's going to give any bait to Chronic, but you always got to test the waters at least. No shocking picks to come through. There's the Orisa that we thought might go through with the Ramatra ban. So again, yeah, Painkiller had options. Orisa, certainly a strong pick on Kings Row. Just got to see if Iron can pilot this Diva just a little bit better. They played well, but they have to play excellent to beat Painkiller.
As we are going to see Painkiller pulling out the Zarya in the end, which, I mean, considering that Iron's playing the Diva, that's going to be a very tough matchup. So for Iron, you have to just make sure you play your high ground, play your distance, and they just got to be careful and not allow Painkiller to gain just a bunch of free easy charge to where they can start melting people very quickly. And for Northwood, they're doing exactly what they need to do. Force point.
Yeah. Yeah, Northwood, exactly that. And that's the one thing that you love to see with teams that are just so well synced with each other. They trust the player next to them. They trust that they're going to make the right play at the right time. Once they see that perfect window of opportunity, they are not going to let it slip. They're going to instantly send it for it. They're just slowly trying to put that squeeze on Fisher in the early going, try to get that early tick progress about halfway to that first tick. Painkiller just able to soak all the damage on the point. And right now, yet to see a kill, but both teams looking to see if they can break through in a moment's notice.
As we see that disruptor shot time and time again from Talisman, just trying to change the positioning, but Kiwi's the one who finds the first pick onto Rocket.
Yeah, Kiwi a little bit low themselves, but still a big pick for Fisher. You take down one of the DPS, see some good healing coming through from Kiwi off the high ground as well. Northwood, they were able to grab a tick, and they're also able to grab Hydran's life in the crossfire, so tick number 2 might just be on the menu here in a moment, and Northwood, they might just be off to a decent little hot start here.
As Window's going to be available for Kiwi, they're going to pop it. They got to be careful.
Yeah, that is a lot of damage going through, but it looks like Northwood able to heal up a little bit of it. Unfortunately, Rocket, the lone victim out of the window combo from Fisher, but hey, Northwood, they're able to get that early capture, so you trade your DPS's life, you're able to get the early capture, and now you've got Fisher on the back foot. Sounds like a great trade.
I was gonna say with Chronic sniping out Hydron early in that re-engage, basically it took all the damage you had off of the field. So it's like you couldn't really force point. Your Zarya was high charged, so the Diva couldn't really do anything. So without all that missing damage, they just had to back out and just allow that to be capped.
Yeah, there wasn't really a good option to end the fight. We are going to see Rocket looking to get in there. Grapes does take down Chronic for first blood, so Fisher maybe can at least stall out a little bit of time here, and the name of the game now is just going to be incremental advantages. A kill here, a kill there. Don't let Northwood get, infinitely fast progress going up these streets and through these archways. They just have to play stall ball as long as they can, but there's a lot of ultis getting online, and Hydran will not be alive to see the fight.
And now the Tectonic Shock and the Overclock and Beats coming out. This is an ulti fiesta.
Yeah, both teams really deciding they want to win this team fight. Iron's going to pop the Diva Bomb. The lamp from Kiwi is going to get dispatched of. Nobody dead in the fight quite yet besides that early first pick that we saw, the Photon Barrier. Going to split both teams in half here, try to defend Fisher for the moment. Northwood not really able to establish any level of progress, but when you look at those ultimates, Window, Graviton, Overclock, that sounds like a disgusting combo that Fisher has got to be aware of, and your Lucio not going to be around for a bit.
I was going to say they don't even need these ultimates either because of the late staggers. They're continuing to getting so much free progress. And to me, overall, Fisher just invested so much into that for no cart control, no space control. And Northwood, like you mentioned, is going to be able to re-engage. So we got the window. They already found 2.
Chronic instantly bopping 2 to start the team fight, and Fisher, that is a quick sign to run for the hills, not even needing the overclock. Actually, that was just railgun Window. Thought he had popped the overclock, so much damage so quickly. So still a massive tool in the back pocket for the Wolves here. And Fisher, I mean, they are just slowly melting away at the weight of Northwood. They are already at the second checkpoint, and they've got 4 minutes and 19 seconds to make ends meet.
And they still have those 2 crucial ultimates of the Overclock and the Grab, and you don't even have to combo them. Both of those ultimates can just win you team fights on their own. So Kiwi gonna have to get maximum amount of value from this window. Most likely gonna be placing on the high ground, but they've already found Chronic.
Yeah, we are going to see the Graviton invested from Painkiller as the answer. The lamp at least going to keep everybody alive for the moment. Painkiller looking to maybe back off for the moment with Rocket going down. I assume, trying to hold the front line down for a bit, but ultimately, Northwood, they will finally have to stop the progress for a few seconds. They're going to look for a full regroup here, a few ultimates on the dawn of getting online, and they've got more than enough time to set up a well-calculated push.
That's the team fight win we needed to see from the side of Fisher. Not only did they not commit any ults, but they got the Graviton Surge out of Painkiller.
And Hydran gets absolutely deleted despite the fact that that was Kiwi's window that got put down. So maybe a sick twist of fate there for the side of Fisher, but they are able to find something in the follow-up. It is just a 1-for-1 fest, but Chronic getting the last one in the feed for the moment. Graves doing their best to survive, but that is not an easy place to live. And Northwood, yet again, just a bit of a mismatch fight. Fisher didn't really have any ultimates quite online to try to make that a, for sure win. And now Northwood back on the prowl, only, about 40 meters to go.
Graves with the sound barrier in toll. I think the one thing they've taken quite advantage of is this Photon Barrier, and they're going to use it this fight.
Yeah, window beat Fisher. They realize that the time is now. They might not have many more chances to try to dig their heels or dig their way out of this one, but Northwood, honestly, I don't hate this call at all. Yeah, you burn the overclock, but Fisher wants to pop more than one ultimate. Yeah, let's just disengage. We've got plenty of time to try to win a massive team fight, and we're going to start by picking off Hydran for what feels like the 4th time. The Tectonic Shock out of Rocket, looking to try to clear some of that high ground, The window going online for CJ as well. That lamp going to keep a few Fisher players alive. Kiwi looking a little bit worse for wear, and Rocket eventually going to find the rundown onto the support. Talisman doing a great job to find one back in exchange. Both teams still trying to fight this one out, but it looks like Northwood, they are slowly but surely putting it down, and they will finish the map with time to spare.
2+ minutes being able to cap that on Kings Row, extremely impressive. And to me, what that final push came down to was, yes, I think that the chronic overclock is extremely threatening. I don't think it is let me pop photon barrier and beat threatening. Like, you don't need both of them. Like, either place a really good wall to where there's not a whole lot that chronic's going to be able to do from the position they're at, or just use beat to save your team. You didn't need both. They would have wished they could have had the other, because, you know, let's say you save beat, and you just use the wall to kite off that overclock, then you would have had beat for that tectonic shock. So I think Fisher's just got to clean that up a little bit, but I still think this is a very close series. I still like the Hydron Symmetra and the amount of pressure it's able to place, because, like, every time you get clumped up in a group like that, Hydron just gets that high beam and is able to melt people relatively quickly.
Yeah, and I do love for the Northwood side just taking a peek at the scoreboard. Lep yet to die, so the Lucio staying alive and literally the entire game supporting. Always nice to see just little nuggets like that that can at least show that, listen, this player is all over the place right now, not getting caught, not out of position. That is exactly what you're looking for. Even a few of the other members only getting taken down once or twice as a collective. So Northwood looking like Northwood so far on Kings Row. Fisher, you've got a tall order to fill here. They've got to get a nice team fight early on. They've got to try to find this early pick. They've got to isolate some sort of target, some sort of plan of execution. Otherwise, Northwood, we see them just put out people's lights very quickly.
Taking advantage of those TPs to get themselves in a great position on the high ground. So Northwood's got to make sure they are rotating properly to deal with these positions. Normally, if you keep rotating the high ground, the way you do it is you just keep rotating all the way around it. Eventually, the defenders become in the position where the attackers would be.
Yeah, and the first blood will be drawn there by Painkiller. The bubble will get him to save. Now we're going to see Talisman. I kind of like the aggression. As long as you're able to find something out of it, you certainly don't want to be too disjointed from the squad. That lamp certainly going to be an annoyance for the Fisher side, and they're just trying to completely box in Northwood right now. They send 2 to the flank, and everybody else just trying to fight face up, and unfortunately, trying to face up a Venture is not going to go well for you. Fisher going to find out the hard way. One more target on site to take down Rockets on a rampage, and Northwood's off and away. Rolling start.
Yeah, and a late stagger onto Iron, who's Baby Diva. And I think what Fisher learned is you do not want to meet Rocket when he's on Venture in a small room like that, in a small hallway, in a small corridor. Like, that's just Venture's field day to just pepper damage in, use your dig, get full value out of it. So again, Fisher's going to be able to re-engage. Not making any swaps so far, but again, taking this positioning away from Northwood is step number 1.
Yeah, and Fisher's been trying as best as they can, but Painkiller is just zapping people every single fight, whether it's Rocket or Painkiller. Fisher's playing with 4 players, what feels like the entire early part of this Kings Row on offense. They haven't even really gotten enough progress on the point to start a tick, but finally a shutdown onto Rocket might finally be the somewhat opening that they need. I don't even know if they can necessarily send it to the point yet with no ultimates, but it's at least maybe something to work off of, especially if you can take down CJ.
There we go. That's what they needed. And that was everyone full aggressing, even with the bubble still able to take down CJ. That's what I need to see from Fisher. Now they're going to start. I see that Chronic gets the exiting pick onto Hydron, though. Things are not set in stone yet.
And they were never able to grab that tick because Northwood was able to contest and Fisher just didn't full commit it. So I'm not even sure they're going to get anything after this long extended fight. They burned Window and the Diva Bomb, but Northwood, all they use is the beat drop. Look at those ultimates they're still hoarding in the back pocket. They've got so much for the end of the fight or the next fight. But with Iron down,
the fact that they're able to patiently win that fight, Jobin, that is insane work coming out for the side of Northwood. And one ult commit despite being down like 2-3 at different moments in that fight. And they couldn't get value out of that window from Kiwi. Just great positioning, great timing.
The read out of Painkiller catches them on the TP, able to use the Graviton, at least hold them all in place for the moment. That's going to force the Photon Barrier out of Hydron. And look at sneaky Rocket Raccoon here, trying to see if he can just find the absolute giga tectonic shock. Graves is going to send the beat in early. Fisher, this might just be your last actual team fight to try to save King's Row, and they're going to find a few quick kills to get themselves going. The tectonic shock in the window, not nearly enough to stop the Fisher onslaught. It was the early graviton of Painkiller to see if they could maybe combo Fisher right off rip. Does not come to fruition, and despite the fact that Northwood has a massive lead still on the map, Fisher gets to keep on playing.
I will say, though, pressure is on for the side of Fisher at this point because you finished with over 2 minutes on the clock if you're Northwood. Fisher has to finish with time on the clock, so they can't just get caught on a bunch of chokes and waste a bunch of time. They got to get moving. They got to get moving quick, but they're going to be facing a chronic overclock in this next fight.
Flawless Overwatch 2 will pretty much be required if Fisher wants to actually make a stand here on King's Row. You've got Northwood trying to group up as best as they can. Iron looks like they're going to try to send it right away. The overclock from Chronic. Let's see if this can shut down any of these Fisher backline members potentially and sway a fight in the Northwood favor. A little bit of chip damage, but that overclock ultimately more of a zoning tool than anything. But with Northwood having such a big time advantage, it's honestly not the worst thing in the world. And right now, Fisher just looking for any way to find a pick, scrape something by. They just cannot get to the cart.
I think their tool of engagement for being able to get some pressure and some kills is going to be this window coming out from Kiwi.
Yeah, they set the TP in the window, and it looks like they're going to try to sit on the lamp near the cart as well. Dueling lamps will go through, and Northwood walking him down and running him out of town. Now we've got Iron on 1 HP, and despite the fact that Painkiller goes down, Fisher is left in an absolute heap. They will be sent back to the spawn, basically a team kill for Northwood. And with those ultimates skyrocketing in percentage on the Northwood side, you've got to think that they've got a stranglehold on this game.
But Northwood's down Painkiller. Painkiller on the Zarya is going to take a while to get back, so they have to back up. They have to afford space. And when Painkiller gets back, not going to be nearly as high charge, so they're going to have to be worrying about that as well. So here we go. Now they're able to reposition and take another fight on this next corner.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying for Fisher. You're not going to probably get that full team ace team fight win. You've got to find your incremental advantages, these small micro wins where you can. We're going to see the beat drop sent in out of Lep early, and it's going to provide Rocket with easy access to a kill on Talisman. And Northwood, if they're able to just stagger one of these ultimates to find a pick, they are well on their way to winning the map. Now Painkiller's going to get a nice little stagger on Kiwi. Iron's going to get sent into baby mode and immediately sent to the gray screen. And Northwood's got Fisher hustling back to spawn.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the side of Fisher, you're going to probably get one more fight off of this based on how much time is left on the clock and the spawns. They're going to have a lot of ults to be able to work with here, but Northwood just has so many engagement tools defensively here. They got to be careful of this Painkiller grab.
Yeah, they just have everything under the sun. Tectonic Shock grab could certainly be a game-ending combination. Looks like they tried to hit the Sim TP to get out of dodge. They are going to force Graves' beat out early. And Northwood still sitting on the window. The Graviton and Chronic will very well have that overclock online momentarily. So a lot of power tools here to try to shut down one last Fisher push. And they've got plenty of tools too. But when two of your players get instantly shut down, there's just no hope left for the side of Fisher. Northwood is just going to clean them up and finish this map.
Wow, what a statement coming in from Northwood. We talked about Ilios and how that map was relatively close, all things considered. Northwood comes into here, bans the Kiriko, and absolutely dominates in the BAP Lucio mirror and says, They're even the ones who banned Zarya on map 1, and just look how well Painkiller played the Zarya.
That is a confidence level that you cannot teach. It is built on experience, trust in your teammates. Literally, just the phrase, pick me, whatever, we're going to win, we're going to do just fine. And this series is now officially identical. I had to pull up the other series again. It was 2-0 Ilios, and then it was a shutout on King's Row in map 2, and map 3 ended up being a Flashpoint Runasapi, which Northwood also basically ran them out of town on. So this is going to be interesting to see where Fisher actually decides is somewhat of a place for comfort. I know going up against Northwood, is there really a map that you can look at and say, yep, we know we are better than these guys? It's got to be hard to have that discussion.
Yeah, a lot of just great strategies, great positioning, great plays coming out from both teams, but specifically Northwood, and the reason why they are up 2-0 in this series. We are going to take a quick break, allow Fisher to recoup themselves, figure out what map they want to go to next. This is a 1st to 4, folks, so we are not done just yet. Fisher has plenty of time to make some adjustments, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And welcome back, everybody, to NECC. We've got our Overwatch 2 Division 1 Grand Finals. Unfortunately, the second verse is looking similar to the first. Northwood beating Fisher 2-0 currently in the first of four, fresh off of a sweep, I think 14 calendar days ago, where they ran through them 3-0 like it was nothing. And we are on track for another similar outcome unless Fisher can piece something together. Map 1 looked a lot more competitive. Map 2 looked like the gap started to widen quite a bit.
We're going to have to see, as we do know the next map choice coming in from the side of Fisher, and we will be going to New Junk City. So Flashpoint map. Wouldn't surprise me if we look at Fisher and possibly see a Zarya mirror. I mean, again, I talked about it. Iron has been very good at it. It's been one of the back pocket picks for this Fisher squad. But the other problem is, now for the side of Northwood, Painkiller is going to have the pick of the lot. You could go back to that Ramacha, which can't be banned anymore. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't take the Zarya mirror. I mean, it looked great on King's Row. But basically Painkiller is just going to be able to play whatever they're feeling on this next map.
And that's got to be so freeing as a team. Even like Fisher, to some degree, they're obviously one of the best teams we have in collegiate. But Northwood, they can sit down at their PCs, regardless of the pick and ban, regardless of the map, regardless of the mode, lock in 5 heroes and say, you know what? We think we got a good shot. Just like you said, Painkiller, whether it's a Zarya mirror, looks like we're getting the early hover on the Ramatra mirror. They're just so diverse, and these hero pools are as deep as the ocean. And it looks like we're going to basically have, we are going to have full mirror comps.
Fisher did decide to ban that pesky venture that we saw coming out from Rocket. So Rocket's like, all right, Hydron, I will match you on this Zarya. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think that was a bad ban for Fisher. Rocket, it took like, I don't know, it took him like 2 to 3 minutes to get going on the venture. Once he got online, took over so many fights. That POV hiding in the corner, tectonic shocking 3-4 players. Definitely a respect ban to no end. Painkiller able to swing the big fist and shut Hydron down. The Talisman putting one right between the eyes of Rocket. Unfortunately for Fisher, Northwood, that secondary assault, that onslaught, looks like it is going quite well for them. Iron is isolated, and Northwood, they're going to win the first round of the Rumble in the Jungle and take point A.
Very well played. Again, this is with the symmetric composition. It's all about how you use these TPs. Whether you fake and take advantage and get aggressive, you use it to get on top of someone specific. And to me, on that one, Northwood did a great job with Rocket, who hadn't played this all series. So this first time bringing it out, so far so good. Who Hydron's already shown how proficient they are on this Symmetra.
Yeah, there's so much skill between all these players. That's why it's just, even when somebody steps out 9 pixels out of the wrong place, or they symmetric TP onto the wrong frame, punishments are going to happen. These teams are going to find these massive chances to just take full advantage, start to snowball the game in their favor. Look at the Fisher flank right now, materializing and then some. They popped up jump scare Northwood, and they were able to shut down both of the DPS. There's the Hydron and Talisman duo we were looking for. And not a moment too soon. It's going to be about 80%. Fisher will flip.
But essentially on Flashpoint, that's one fight territory. So
yeah.
if Northwood's able to come back and win the next fight, they're probably getting this point. But every team coming up on quite a few ultimates. I expect Fisher to get aggressive quickly, not give Northwood any room to breathe, any quick angles to get in.
Yeah, you've got to poke them out as best as you can and just be alert of where Rocket and Co are trying to flank from. And Chronic going to be the one to lead the dance, the tip of the spear with the overclock. And now it's going to be Kitsune beat coming out of Fisher. Northwood, they haven't invested dual sub-ults yet. They're just willing to try to fight this one out as plain as they can. It looks like Fisher, though, just the 2 support ultimates, more than enough to win them that big team fight. So Northwood, yes, they will have big cooldowns for the next fight. They do actually burn the late Kitsune. So honestly, for Fisher, that was a fantastic trade, I think, or at least good.
To me, it's sufficient. Both teams going to have the exact same amount of ultimates coming in this one. Really, I think everything pretty much cancels out. Like Photon Bears will cancel each other out for overclock, and then 2 annihilations. Just who gets aggressive and finds something quickly and early.
Yeah, there's the early beat. Both Ramatra sitting on the Annihilation, 99 to 79 in Fisher's favor. So one more kill may just decide point A here. And now it's going to be the dueling Annihilations. Iron and Painkiller going toe-to-toe here in a phone booth, trying to swing back and forth. Neither of these Ramatras willing to go down yet. The Annihilation will expire. Talisman going to get chunked down to 1 HP. These Fisher health bars, they are a blinking. Northwood looking to slowly put the squeeze on them, and they have found the kills they need. A blood red kill feed and a flipped point, which may just result in them taking the point.
Painkiller played their positioning so well. It was honestly very hard to see what was going on because there was two photon barriers cutting each other on the point, plus the Ramatra shields. But at the end, Painkiller found a good spot to be able to aggress on top of Iron, but also be able to quickly back up and still be an LOS of the supports. Looks like they're trying to catch Northwood on the rotation, but Northwood's doing a great job in just keeping their space.
Yeah, and that's the thing too about these two teams that are so well experienced, so well versed, playing against literally the best players in the world. There's few things that are going to catch them off guard, so you've really got to be on your P's and Q's when trying to make certain plays. Lep going to go have some fun, and the Sun there and follows it up with a combo on the Hydrant's head, and looks like the Northwood support out for blood, taking down the Fisher DPS to get us going. Talisman and Iron, you've got no chance to survive, and Northwood just like that, 4 quick picks and point E to them.
Again, Lep being able to play that aggressive and find picks without getting punished. I mean, what more could you ask for from your Lucio at this point? For the side of Fisher, I'd be looking to use this Kitsune Rush and at least get some kills or at least buy you some space. You gotta be, it's tough pushing through this choke.
Yeah, listen, I spent 2 years at Fisher, went to classes, worked on the broadcast, so if anyone would be rooting for them to try to make a comeback, it would be me. But man, Northwood, they are just looking to be a step above at the moment. They are shutting out every single Fisher attempt at a flank. Every time they try to isolate one of these targets, Lep is there to disengage, and Northwood just playing off each other so well so far. And you do not want to be down 2-0 in a flashpoint to a team of this caliber. That is a tall mountain to climb. And Fisher, I guess, just waiting for some of these ultimates to stack up and then go for that big, big swing.
Here we go, TP in, beat available. Oh, just before the Ajax, that was close.
Didn't even have time to drop the beat. Hydrant is out of there, but it looks like Fisher's dealing out some damage the other way. Rocket getting traded out, but there's the Sojourn 1v1. Chronic winning a big one there in Northwood. They had the secondary beat. They had the Kitsune waiting in tow, and Painkiller's fists are flying. Fisher dropping like flies at Northwood. A firm 2-0 lead here.
Unfortunately, a lot of the times we talk about using your, your ultimates aggressively. I think a lot of times when it comes to sound barriers specifically, like sometimes when you're in a long engaged fight like that, the later sound barrier is the better one. So Fisher needed to find picks aggressively early, and they didn't. So Lep's sound barrier just got so much value.
Yeah, it may be a hero shooter, but it's a game of timing, it's a game of cooldowns, it's a game of just general awareness of when and where to pop these big cooldowns that we may only get one chance at. Photon barrier out of Rocket to split the site in the early going, and then a little disruption kill onto Painkiller. That is a cheeky quick pick for Fisher, and that is exactly the openers that you needed. Hydrant able to have another nice flash. We've seen very bright moments mixed in with some, questionable getting caught, but luckily, Kiwi and crew were able to support the rest of the squad, and Fisher's able to grab onto C.
Yeah, this next point to me for Fisher and the positions they put themselves in, everything is just looking up aces at this point. You're going to have 3 ultimates. You're able to win that fight without having to commit anything and get the Photon Barrier commit from Northwood. Fisher has put themselves on this 3rd point in a great spot, and they have to reverse sweep this point. So obviously this is the first step in starting that, but they are primed and positioned for it.
Yeah, the mentality has to be 1 kill at a time. Unfortunately, Northwood, they are preaching to the same choir. Kiwi absolutely vaporized to get the fight going, but then Painkiller awkwardly split between the Photon Barrier. I guess couldn't get to the supports and just absolutely gone from the fight as well. So Fisher able to survive the early onslaught. Obviously, no Northwood ultis invested. They weren't online, and CJ getting a nice little exit on the Talisman, but now you've got Iron trying to run down the back line, so it is getting scrappy early on, and Iron's Annihilation actually active as well, so that cooldown not available for a potential last gasp here from both sides.
As we're going to see a lot of pressure being put on a Chronic, going to go down. Kitsune Rush coming in from Fisher as they're looking for more.
Yeah, Iron looking healthy and looking ready to go. The beat drop at the Kitsune out of Fisher. They realize it is now or never. We literally cannot afford to lose the point. They are able to laser everybody else out of sight, and they will not say die here on New Junk City. They've got one under their belt. 2 more to go.
I will say that was quite a heavy investment for Fisher. They had to have it, so I
Mhm.
understand. But they also had to think about the fact that they have to win these next 2 points as well. So they need tools at their disposal because of the fact that they had to use so much, Jobin. This relies
Yep.
heavily on them having to play these sim TPs really well and hoping for like Talisman to find a pick or them to just get aggressive and get someone because they have no ults.
Yeah, they cannot afford to get picked whatsoever, and I completely agree with what you said. It kind of felt like they had to use those ultimates, even though it feels bad in the moment because you are investing literally everything, but that was the reality of their situation. They got dug in this hole. Northwood got that early massive lead on them, and that's just kind of the spot you're forced to be stuck in. And Painkiller, Annihilation ready to go online. Chronic's got the overclock locked and loaded, and he's going to be able to pick Talisman off to get the fight going. Northwood, that is exactly what you're looking for the first blood, and now you can put that pace on him.
And again, that's just one of your 4 ultimates you're going to have if you're Northwood.
Yeah.
And there's going to continue to fight this. I mean, you do find Rocket, but with Iron going down and them looking for more, it just makes things that much more tough. You do get the Photon Barrier at a Hydrant, though. This could not have gone worse for Northwood. I mean, for Fisher, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I guess even Rocket going down, I don't think it forced the beat out of Lep, but Northwood said, listen, we are just making sure that nothing happens in this fight because we trust that Lep's going to get the beat drop online at least one more time for us. We're going to have at least a 70 to 75% lead before Fisher can really show their faces here. So Northwood, again, just staggering the cooldown so well. Doesn't feel like they're ever wasting anything. Everything is timed extremely well synced up, and Fisher running out of options now. You basically got to get these ultis online and pray it goes well.
Still 70% to beat as well. Grapes going down from the Kitsune rush spam.
Oh, that might be the nail in the coffin, at least for this fight. No beat drop online is going to be very tough fight. Northwood able to walk him down, zone him off, and a 3-0 absolute clutch. Northwood has Fisher in here in the grand final. So far, the exact same result as November 20th, with Northwood needing one more to put the gem in the crown.
Yeah, Northwood putting themselves on championship point to win that fall semester championship and that bid into the final tournament in the spring semester. I mean, again, what's more to say about Northwood? They're just, as you mentioned, they're just on their P's and their Q's at this point. They have been playing fantastic. Like really the only time, they have shown any kind of weakness was a little bit on that third flash point. But again, I think that was just Fisher being able to play extremely efficiently. That was Fisher playing up to their potential.
Mhm.
We just got to see more of that consistently from them if they want a hope of reverse sweeping.
Yeah, you can very well see that Fisher has the talent and has the teamwork to compete in a lot of these fights, but you said it perfectly. They're just having these little flashes where it's maybe 1 to 2 team fights in a row, everything looks flawless, and then after that, maybe Hydrant's getting picked, one of the supports is getting picked. We saw Grapes, they take the Symmetra TP, instantly blown up on 2 separate occasions by the Ramattra, so just things that Northwood is just ready for these plays to come in. Fisher, again, in that map especially, they were just forced into basically sending the blitz over and over and over. The time and the situation just wasn't on their side, but they just have to find some sort of strategy to take down Northwood. And I mean, listen, winning 4 maps against Northwood is not easy. Winning 4 in a row after being down 3-0 is whew.
Yeah, it is going to be tough sledding. It's hard enough to come back from down 2-0 and reverse sweep and
Yeah.
win 3-2, but having to win 4 maps in a row when this next map is going to be your last map pick and first ban. So, going forward, even if you win this next one, the 3 remaining maps will all be Northwood's picks. They will all have the first ban on those. So, it is a Mount Everest style climb
Yeah.
they're going to be on right now.
Yeah, listen, it got to start with one game. And honestly, at this point, I'm not even saying, hey, team, one game at a time. I'm talking one kill at a time, one 10 meters of progress at a time. Like, you just have to break the game down into these small little victories, I think. Try to get through map 4 as good as you can. If you can walk away, even if it's a close one, you can say, listen, we bought ourselves another chance at survival. Obviously, like you said, the way the series has been set up with the picks and the bans, definitely favoring Northwood in the late game. And the fact that Northwood is just able to force out respect ban after respect ban, game after game, and also just immediately adjust and say, okay, you want to ban the venture? It's like, yeah, there's still a sojourn open for me, and I'm gonna play completely fine with that. It's a sojourn. So Northwood, so many options, and Fisher are running out of them. I don't even know what they necessarily need to look for because they've looked good at times and at other times just outclassed.
Which is unfortunate because we said first map where it was like Diva versus Diva or Diva versus Winston. That one was relatively close. Map 2, it was Zarya versus Diva. That did not go well. Third map, it was Ram versus Ram. That didn't go that well either. As we do know, Runa Sapi is going to be potentially our last map as Fisher is trying to look to reverse sweep.
Yeah, and I brought it up earlier as well. Northwood, they took this map handily 2 weeks ago, 3-0 fashion. So Fisher either just comfortable enough on this map, willing to die on this hill if this is going to be the last map of the series. Maybe they like some of the looks that they got a couple weeks ago, or even had some time, got some information. You get to go back, watch the VOD, at least kind of see what specific things Northwood likes to do on certain maps. And maybe you like something you saw on film, but you got to put all that together now, all that semester's worth of work. It comes into one map, one chance to see if you can at least extend the series. You can't even think about winning this series yet. You just got to think about how do we beat Northwood on Runasapi.
That's going to be the question of the day as we are waiting for the bands to come in. And the question is for Fisher, what do you look to? Anna's an interesting one. Um, we do know that CJ has a great propensity to be able to play that hero, is very, very talented on it. We just haven't really seen Honest that much in the meta. So I don't know if that was a possible protect pick on maybe a Lucy. I don't know, because like it just feels weird. I wouldn't expect Anna to get played, especially when you got Kiri Lucio available.
Yeah, we'll see what Northwood decides to opt into. I'm
And
sure
Northwood banned the
CJ.
Ramattra this time. What
Yep.
what what confidence, man. Ban Zarya on map number 1, then play Zarya map 2 and just dominate. Then play Ram on 3 and then ban it on map number 4. Like they are just confident.
They are literally just doing whatever they feel like this series, and it has gone basically flawless. The only hiccup was Ilios was pretty damn close for both of the points. It was still a Northwood 2-0. That is the best takeaway that Fisher can have basically from the whole series. Like, it has realistically been downhill since map 1, and King's Row probably a little bit worse than the Flashpoint, but still not great. Iron's going to opt into the Zarya. Talisman's going to hover the Reaper for the time being. Painkiller's going to step up on the Reinhardt, which I love, but this is one of my favorite tanks in the game. I understand he's got his situations and he's got his weaknesses, but this is awesome for me personally.
Let's see how this goes into the Zarya Chronic on the Bastion as well. They are having a great time on Northwood. Let's see how this goes.
That's like a mobile artillery unit. The Bash Bros are breaking down the front doors, and Fisher, Iron. Oh, we did actually have a disconnect from Fisher, it does appear. So I guess we're going to see maybe what happens in the next, in the coming seconds. But yeah, it looks like Grapes, unfortunately, not in the game anymore. So that is certainly an issue. I just noticed, saw Iron get killed. I was like, oh my goodness, what a play out of Northwood. Look up, and the spinning wheel of death.
Yeah, a very unfortunate situation. But man, to come out in map 4 on championship point to be like, you know what? Ryan Bastion Sim, let's go, baby. And I mean, they were making it work, man. Again, this is just gonna be about again playing your TPs right, and it's gonna be about getting your TP and putting your Bastion into position to set up those artillery, just explosive damage setups.
I mean, and you want to talk confidence. You play Bastion Reinhardt and you tell them to just link arms and play Red Rover. You are literally just saying, we are going to W key you, and there is nothing you could do to stop it. We've got you at melee distance. We've got you at range. If we got one of our supports behind us, I can keep him protected. So that is just confidence in a nutshell. That speaks to exactly how Northwood has been playing. Even you talked about just the way they've been banning and picking the whole series basically says, we don't really care what happens in this part of the game. We're going to hop into the actual game and we're going to handle business. So I do love to see that out of them. Obviously, wish we would have got to see if Fisher was able to find an answer to it and get a little more gameplay out of it. But certainly an interesting curveball from Northwood that might pay dividends. Although North or Fisher, they've seen it now, so maybe the element of surprise is possibly gone when they load back in. But it still might just be, listen, you might know what it is, but try to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how you're gonna play it if you're Northwood. It's like, we're gonna keep playing this until you can show that you can stop us and you make us, worry about having it to map number 5. I think that's the only way they have to swap it is if they feel the pressure of possibly losing this map. Because my guess is these teams want to be able to finish this map up quickly. I'm not sure how many finals are still going on, if they're all done yet or not, but if they are, they just want to get back to studying, getting ready for that. Um, so let's see how that goes. We're going to see point progress being made from Northwood. Talisman's going to go over to the Genji now, which I think is going to be a smart choice, and Iron going over to the Diva. So Defense Matrix will obviously be there as they get charged to be able to eat up a lot of that bashing damage. And then you have the Genji who can deflect it as well.
Yeah, Clean's going to keep Painkiller alive for the moment, and obviously, even before the DC, I don't know if Grapes was necessarily at the first fight, but they did get first blood to Northwood, and I think it was 5v5 for a moment, so they get to get first break onto the cart here. Looks like they're going to make about 40 meters of progress. Obviously, got to keep that Reinhardt Bastion front line alive. I absolutely love that. This is potentially the championship clinching combo as a Bastion Reinhardt running you down face to face. That's phenomenal.
As they're rounding the final quarter, getting closer and closer to those forward spawns. Talisman's now also going to go down. Northwood is just playing their positional advantages, even in a comp like this, to a T.
Yeah, they have not made a single mistake so far on Rudasabi. Everything has been by the book. It has been textbook. That is a nice little TP. The Clean's going to come through a little bit early, and that means Fisher, they are able to, or Northwood, they've still got a lot of cooldowns for the second engage here, and there's Chronic scooping up a two-piece with the Bastion before they inevitably fall to Iron's hand. Painkiller able to back away to safety, and the meanwhile, we are 2 minutes and 5 seconds into this map, and Northwood is halfway done.
Yeah, it did cause Hyde on that overclock. Kitsune Rush going to come out as everyone's just going to look to back out here for Northwood. Again, very smart, realizing the situations they're in. They're going to have players coming back anyway, so they can look to re-engage and not give Fisher that much value out of that Kitsune Rush.
And they got such a big lead so early. Northwood can afford to disengage from these ultimates as many times as they want, as long as they can at least walk up to sort of contest the line of scrimmage. It's going to be the beat drop, and Painkiller is very close to the shatter, but I don't even think they need to invest the extra ultimate. Lepid, Chronic are on a killing spree. 4 Falcons dead in a flash. Iron, the only one left. Few shots here, few shots there, and this baby Diva inevitably going to get taken down. Yep, I was no way the remake was coming through, and Northwood is already at 105 meters, 3 minutes in.
And they still have so much of this. Chronic just keeps getting more and more bigs. This Bastion cannot be stopped.
This is absolute filth from the Timberwolves. The Bastion Reinhardt duo. Chronic has 70% of the kills so far on this map. A nice little shatter onto the squishy. Cleanse will go through. Gonna get bought back into the spawn. Northwood playing with their food at this point. Only 1.5 meters left till arguably the fastest push game I have ever seen with my own 2 eyes. Painkiller, Rocket, and Lep knocking down the last few Falcons, and Northwood's gonna win it 4-0. They are the Division 1 fall champions of NECC, making it look easy.
Yeah, man, Northwood didn't even feel like they were sweating. Maybe they perspired a little bit on Ilios, but once they got through that map, man, they have not looked back. Absolute domination from map 2 to map 4, making you just think, man. Well, there's always been this thought in a lot of the committee's heads where it's kind of been like, Redbirds, Winthrop, and Northwood, and then there's kind of a tier break. And I think this definitely showed us that right now.
Yeah, listen, there's good, there's really good, and then there's excellent, and there's that like demonic boogeyman tier that certain programs and certain teams just have this ethos around them. Northwood, even speaking outside of Overwatch 2, they have won everything in every other game. They've had the most international success in so many other teams, sending players to pro leagues. This is just another Friday for them. They knew they were going to have a great chance to win coming in. They won 3-0 a couple weeks ago. This is par for the course for them. And even though Fisher definitely showed flashes, and listen, it takes a Hall of Fame performance to knock off Northwood, Fisher just wasn't really able to put enough of it together map by map to at least take one of the maps and extend the series. And by map 4, it just felt like the train ran out of gas.
It was just very well played, very well flexibility from the side of Northwood to be able to play so many different styles, so many different comps. They showed why they're the number 3 and why, we feel like there's a separation from the top 3 and everyone else. Well, folks, We're not done yet. We still have one more game later on today, which is going to be Saginaw Valley State University going up against Washtenaw Community College. It's Division 6, I believe. So we will be back with that, and the game might start early, but if it's at your regular scheduled time, it will be in an hour and 15. So we're gonna be in quite a break, folks, but don't just keep your eye on the stream, and we'll be back shortly.